All right, hello and welcome to the Cinebums. It's been a long time. We're back. Uh, I have a Christmas tree behind me.
Festive.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm festive this time. I don't think I've ever had a Christmas tree behind me, but yeah, it's that time of year. Now I need to think of what Christmas song to like put as the background for this intro.
Yeah. That's actually a good thought. What are your like top Christmas songs?
I really like
I
is the Eagles do this one Christmas song. I think it's the Eagles.
Really?
Please come home for Christmas by the Eagles.
What?
It kind of has like you've definitely heard
All
it.
right, I've got
You've
YouTube
definitely
pulled
heard
up.
it kind of has like an oh darling rhythm to it.
Oh yeah, I do like that one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bells
yeah,
will be ring. Yeah,
yeah,
like I
yeah.
like that one a lot. If you've ever listened to the Beach Boys Christmas albums at all, those are good.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah, like it's like really early on in their catalog. I like that. I like the Bells of Saint Mary. That's in, you'll hear it in like Goodfellas. It's during that specific scene where Pesci's like, the frame rate slow down. He's killing
Yeah,
Sam
yeah.
Jackson. It's like the Bells of Saint Mary. I like that. Both Christmas songs in Goodfellas, I really like. I forget what the other one is, but yeah, I mean, to be fair, that it really is it. The list is not super long to be, really. Like there's only a few Christmas songs that I think are actually like genuinely good. A lot of them I'm just like uh the radio and they kind of the radio side to it and they kind of blend into the commercialism as Charlie Brown would say of
Yeah.
Christmas to me,
Yeah. As in my older age, I think I've gotten more into like anything that's sort of just like chill and relaxing. That's like Christmas music. I'll be into. Like that Eagles song is like sort of a nice, not just
Yeah.
like
It's
some
more
like
than just Christmas too. It's got like a certain
mhm.
rhythm to it that's derived from other music as
Yeah.
well.
I'm actually not two of my least favorite Christmas songs are uh Paul McCartney and John Lennon. Both of their like big Christmas songs.
I
Uh,
actually haven't heard that any either of those. I should check them out.
Paul McCartney's is simply having
Oh
a wonderful
yeah,
Christmas. It's just so
that sounds kind of terrible. Yeah,
it's so repetitive and annoying. And then the John
yeah.
Lennon one is just the war is over one where it's like,
Oh,
so this
okay,
is Christmas.
okay. I
And
think I
what
like that. I
you've heard
like
both of them.
Lennon's a lot more.
It's better for sure. But
And
yeah,
how merry, and it like escalates. And how merry Christmas,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I like that one actually. But definitely McCartney's like it. I feel like that's like way below like what that man is capable of.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Either
Um
way, both those guys are like should not be writing Christmas songs anyways.
yeah.
So like,
It's kind of funny actually. Bob Dylan had a Christmas album that came out, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago.
mm,
Um, and it's not bad, but it's just kind of funny because he sings like all the Christmas like classic songs, but in his really grovelly old man chain smoker
yeah,
voice.
yeah.
It's like Santa Claus is coming to town. Like, it's kind of funny to listen to actually.
Yeah. We'll check that out.
Yeah, it's not terrible.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of yeah, it doesn't really put you in the Christmas mood either with his old voice. But
Right, right.
yeah. But
But
anyway,
yeah, like today we're talking about the Santa Clauses with starring Tim Allen. We're talking about one, two, and three. But yeah, like the Santa Clauses are movies. Like we've covered a couple Christmas movies on here before. Maybe just one.
well, we did Jingle All the
Uh,
Way with Brendan. didn't we?
Yeah, I think that's
Yeah.
what we did. We did Jingle All the Way, but like the Santa Clauses I've wanted to do on here for a little while. We've been in this phase of like, oh, we're dissecting these movies that are so weird and don't make sense, and they're like big Hollywood studio comedy type movies. And I remember during that phase where I was like really obsessed with that, I watched Santa Claus again, and I was like, it ends, and I'm like, damn, this is one of the weirdest films I've ever seen. Like for rewatch. I won't get into it too much because we'll get into that later. But like, I don't know about you, but Santa Claus with Tim Allen as a kid for me was something I like watched often, and it it definitely hit hard as a kid, and I didn't question any of it as a kid, and it was
Nope.
I ate it all up. I ate it all up.
Yeah, that's where I don't. Yeah, like watching these again now, I don't know if it's just like the times, like if the '90s were really just that, like pre 2000s, it was just that weird, or like did our
Right.
parents think that this was like an odd thing too, that like Santa's
Yeah.
murdered and then you like put his coat on and become Santa, like the whole all yeah, just the whole idea of this movie is kind of fucked up. And I don't know if like I saw this if I was 30 years old in 1994 or whatever, if I would have thought it's weird or it's just because of the times. It was just like
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because as a kid, yeah, like you said, I was just unfazed. I was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, wow, like he gets to become Santa. And I went into the magic of all of it. I fell into the magic of all of it. I was
Yeah.
like, oh, now, and I could like at the end, I would always get so emotional. I'm like, oh, he just wants to see his dad again. His dad has to come back from delivering presents and stuff. Classic
Yeah.
father son tale as the father the young kid's father becomes Santa, and that is how they become closer. Yeah, meanwhile, like we're towards the end of another year of movies. um so I've been, I'm not cramming as much as before. I think I've seen more up to this point to where the cram is not going to be as like crazy. Like, like I'm still going to cram in a lot, but like it's not going to be as like, oh, like last year where I hadn't seen anything, and now I'm going to just see everything everyone's talking about.
Mhm.
I've seen some stuff. I've seen, a good amount, I think.
I've got some catching up to do for sure. This will be a cram year for me,
Yeah,
I
for you
think.
it'll be the usual.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've been this fall and winter I've been traveling a lot. And I would say
Yeah.
it's like I've been traveling on the weekends too, and those are usually when I'm able to knock out a movie here and there, but a new one, so to speak.
Yeah.
But I'm catching up now at the end of the year, and of course before the bummies inevitably come
Hmm.
in early
Yeah.
2024, I'll be caught up.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's
Yeah.
so many on streaming services. There's so many in theaters, and on top of it, like I'm just trying to. It's not about like availability. It's about Well, it's about me just like finding the time to get to all the opportunities there are to see so much that came out.
Hmm.
Um, I think I was on Peacock and I saw that you could subscribe to see like this 2023, like all these 2023 movies that are out. It's not even that many, but I was just like thinking so I could just watch a few of them to subscribe for like a few bucks. And it's like Asteroid City, Mario, maybe one other thing. And I was like, oh, maybe it's worth a couple bucks so I could just watch
Hmm.
those. Yeah, things are like that right now.
Yeah, that's what I did with Paramount Plus actually. Um,
Okay.
Before we did a Scream episode with Simon. Screams. This is the other thing too. It's like it is harder to watch some, like you said. Like there are all these movies that come out on streaming services, I don't necessarily have everything, but Scream 6 was only on Paramount Plus. So
Damn.
I just made an email. Hopefully they're not listening. I just made a fake email, signed up for the free trial, watched it, and then when I canceled before the free trial, they're like, have 2 months on us. So I was like, okay. So then there's like Dungeons and Dragons and a couple other like new movies that came out just on Paramount Plus that I'll try to cram in then. But yeah, like I'm trying to do that same thing as if I spend, like a free trial or like $5 on a streaming service for a month just to watch like the new stuff that they have on there, I'll do it. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Have you watched at all The Curse?
Oh yes, yeah. I've been watching The Curse.
Yeah, because
I'm one episode
Showtime
behind. Yeah,
Showtime is not something I'd usually have, but since I have like a friend from work who's been letting me use his Showtime account, I'm able to watch The Curse, which has been it's been an interesting ride for sure.
yeah. I yeah. It's a show that I really have. I'm not really sure at all what's going on.
Yeah.
It's like the rehearsal was so weird,
Yeah.
and I did not think that this, more like scripted, obviously
Right.
scripted
Like
show
a
that Nathan Fielder
structured
was
like
doing.
yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think it could get weirder than that. But yeah, here we are. It's
Yeah.
But I like that Nathan Fielder is just kind of doing this. What I like about the show is that it's kind of like David Lynch in a way too. I think like I don't always follow everything that's going on in like Twin Peaks or whatever, but it still
Yeah.
gets my attention because there's something
Yeah.
about it that's just interesting and different.
Right.
And that's the
Right.
same with this. And I love
Right.
Emma Stone in it. I love that she's down to do like weird
Yeah.
shows like this.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and yeah, yeah,
Yeah, no, it's so I think I've like as it's gone on past episode 2, I've definitely been able to watch and be like, "Oh, I can see sort of what the weird wacky shit that they're trying to go for here." Um but and like maybe try to like understand it more, I guess, rather than like seep into this like vibe, that
yeah,
like cuz it's such a vibe. It's so weird. Like there's one night I started watching it and it's so weird and I was just like and I literally got up and I was like I got to get stoned for this or something because of like how weird this is. So I like
yeah.
grabbed like the weed seltzer I had in the fridge and started watching and started drinking it. And I was like watching. I'm like, okay, all right, now this is hitting. This is hitting better. This
Yeah.
show's more digestible.
I don't know. I remember watching like Nathan For You and would bring it up in conversation sometime and people would like not know what I'm talking about. And now I'm glad that like it's getting to a point where there can people like Nathan Fielder and Benny Safdie like doing the shows like this that are just
Kind of bigger.
different. Yeah, they're bigger shows and it's just
Yeah.
completely different than anything else. Even how it's shot, like it's so weird how it's shot like
Yeah, I can't even really
voyeuristically.
tell. Yeah, I can't. It is. It's always shot voyeuristically. I can't tell, and
There's like always
and it.
something like in the way of the shot, like it
Yeah,
blocking. So yeah,
yeah.
it's
Uh huh. And also like the fact of that Nathan Fielder is a leading man and he's not doesn't do anything in his performance to change the way he is. He's just always going to be that. Don't get me wrong,
yeah.
he's acting like a lot in this. Like there's many scenes where I'm like he's getting emotional and he's losing his shit and it's like real acting, but at the end of the day he is just playing Nathan Fielder again, but in this actually scripted more, like a narrative thing. It's so weird to see. He's doing it along other actors when we're used to seeing Nathan Fielder talk to like just the most random people.
Someone from Craigslist. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was I watched this show or listened to this show, The Best Show with Tom Sharpling. and he's had Nathan on a few times, and he had Nathan and Benny on, and he got like an early. I guess he's seen all the episodes already, and he basically said that, and this isn't even a show where I'm trying to like figure out what is going to happen, in the end, but he said that like you could give 1,000 people a sheet of paper and a pen and tell them to write down what they think will happen at the end of the show, and nobody will get it right. Like it's one of those
Yeah.
things, and
Yeah.
I believe it. Yeah, I really have no idea where it's going, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, it's got me hooked in.
Yeah. So I mean, so that's one thing to start. Yeah, the curse.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go off that. I've been into another thing I've thought about that's been in my mind a lot recently is David Fincher's The Killer, which was a big one, Netflix movie, but yeah, was in theaters for I think a second.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean The Killer is really an interesting movie. And like on first watch, I was like kind of like, oh, this is so cool and zen and like the technical side. It's so polished technically. But then like I started to like listen to what other people had to say about it, and then like I mean, just to like honestly other movie podcasts, and I was like, once I learned that oh wait, the killer is like actually like supposed to be funny, it really like changed
Hmm.
a lot of my perspective of my first watch. And like so the killer in that end has been on that end has been on my mind more like recently, because um I didn't really watch it like that. My first time I don't think I laughed at all. But uh like apparently yeah, it's like supposed to be funny. Like for instance, like it's mainly supposed to be comical that Fassbender is just not as good at like as his job, as his inner monologue is kind of saying it. Like it's kind of there's this irony that apparently there.
Interesting. Yeah, I haven't heard about that because um yeah, so I watched The Killer and I liked it. Um but it wasn't one that really like stuck with me afterwards. Like I didn't really think much of it, but I might have to rewatch with that in mind. Um
Yeah.
because yeah,
Yeah.
maybe I took it too seriously and that's why I didn't like it as much, but yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when you take anything too seriously, like in life, we all know you'll just be like, "What is this?"
What is this piece of garbage? What am I taking David Fincher seriously for? He's a
Name
comedy
one.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a comedy guy. Yeah, John, why are you watching a David Fincher movie seriously?
God, yeah. It's like him, Judd Apatow. Those guys are like the
Yeah,
same.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. What's interesting is like I feel like David Fincher isn't he's definitely not known as a funny director, but I think like a few of like my favorites of David Fincher, which we've covered, that like one of them, which Social Network, I think is like a really funny movie.
Mhm.
Um, Gone Girl on rewatch is like I realize the more you rewatch Gone Girl, the funnier it actually is. Um, and Fight Club is funny, of course.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like there's like he has this weird like almost like in the ways that I don't know. He's just like he's got humor, even though they aren't like necessarily comedies. They're like I feel like a
Yeah.
lot of his movies, if you rewatch, definitely have humor in them. They aren't like Christopher Nolan like
Yeah.
early work, which is like if they're funny, they're unintentionally funny. I feel like.
So what was
But
that
yeah,
again? Oh, The
the
Killer,
killer.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, the killer I'm into. I'm happy it
Cool.
exists. I think it's like more it's really interesting because it's a really contained David Fincher movie with Michael Fassbender, and I think I might rewatch it again just because I think there's more to explore.
Cool. Yeah. I think One thing that I was thinking as I was watching it, and maybe I of course need to watch it again with a different perspective, but was he was like, you have to not have emotions and like not care about
Yeah.
these things.
Right.
But then he really cared about like his family so much and whatever. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I felt like I got thrown off by that. Maybe I missed something. I
Yeah.
something wasn't reaching
He's
me
like,
or whatever.
you either want to be one of the few or one of the many, or
Yeah,
whatever that line is. The
yeah,
Romans said you better be one. Marcus Aurelius said you want to be one of the few or one of the many.
yeah. Like those deep, profound like
Yeah.
quotes.
I think it's supposed to be contradictory. Like
See, that's
he's
okay.
supposed to
That's
be
what I
like
missed
a
then. Yeah,
very contradictory guy. Yeah.
I
No,
need
yeah,
to
me too.
rewatch
Like
then. Yeah,
when I watch it, I'm like, yes, this guy is great. I will trust everything this guy says and does, you know.
yeah, that's true. Maybe I won't take it at face value next time. Yeah. Well, I'll bring up one I just saw in the theaters the other night, and it's Napoleon, another
Oh,
big time director, Ridley Scott.
I still have to see it.
And
Did you see
yeah,
it in IMAX?
I did see it in IMAX, and
Wow, very nice.
yeah, mostly because that was the only option at the theater that's like right by me that I went to. But I would still say this was, I don't know, a bigger deal in IMAX than I think Oppenheimer. Just because Oppenheimer, there's a lot of people talking in a room.
Right.
Whereas this,
Right.
there's the big selling point for Napoleon in IMAX is these battle scenes, which are
Right.
really well done and really cool and interesting. And there wasn't a whole lot to like Napoleon's character that made you like super interested in him, so to speak. I think the clearly most like intriguing parts of it were the battle scenes. I also think maybe like the killer, that Napoleon was more of a comedy than it comes across right away.
Mhm.
And I can't tell if I want to say this to you before you see it or see if you had the same thought after, but I think I'm just going to tell you. I wonder if you'll feel this way too. But Napoleon felt a lot like his character felt a lot like Michael Scott. Um, and and there's like funny moments where he seems like very out of touch and
Yeah, yeah.
this person who's in charge who I don't know is maybe trying to compensate for like Napoleon. This is not really a spoiler because it's history, but Napoleon's wife, has been cheating on him for like years and years, but he
Mhm.
still wants to be with her. And I don't know, he kind of seems like
He's got like a Jan situation going on.
there's a dinner scene where I don't want to spoil anything, but it made me feel like I was in the dinner party
Wow,
episode.
that's wild.
It's
That's
it
wild.
Yeah, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when you see it. But I immediately thought of the dinner party scene, and there's other moments too where he's talking to people, and it's supposed to be funny, I think, but it really is like this is something Michael Scott would say in this situation. Like he's as emperor, but he got to this situation, and maybe he's really good at certain
Mhm.
things, but there's like social cues, social aspects that
Mhm.
he's just seems like he's missing. Um, and yeah. But overall, I liked Napoleon. It was like,
Mhm.
um, again, I don't think it was supposed to be any deep like character study into him. It was kind of like
Like the
really just
blockbuster version of
yeah,
Napoleon, like the way
exactly.
House of Gucci like is what it is, maybe.
Yeah, it's a crowd pleaser for
Yeah.
sure. Like cool battle scenes and everything, and then the actual like drama with the character of Napoleon it is a little feels a little more light.
No, I've wanted to see that. Mostly just to see Joaquin's performance, the fact that it's
Yeah,
Ridley Scott, and also I've heard the battle scenes are really sick, like, and that's like the peak of the movie at the beginning, or yeah. Another movie I saw in theaters was the Hayao Miyazaki movie, The Boy and the
ooh,
Heron.
nice.
Yeah. Um, wanted to like once I heard it was in theaters, I wanted to make sure I got to it before it left because I've never seen one of his in theaters, And there were other things I could have seen that weekend. Like I could have seen The Holdovers, um, stuff like that. But I was like, okay, I should really like pay respects to this. You know what I mean? Like Killers of the Flower Moon comes out, I'm there week one. I might as well be prioritize this in a similar way. And it was quite an experience seeing a Miyazaki film on the big screen. I've never done it. I've kind of been like everyone else. I've watched all of them on HBO Max when they all came out. And I recently realized that you could choose either the dubbed or the non-dubbed version on HBO Max. I didn't even know you could do that because I've watched all of them dubbed. I thought that was the only version available, but apparently that's not the case. But also because of that, this is my first time watching a Hayao Miyazaki movie not dubbed. So, and it was like just really nice to like not only be seeing the movie the way it's meant to be seen, but like when you're in a theater with people who are all going to see a Miyazaki movie, I just feel you're with like a good crowd of people.
Yeah.
Like
people aren't just like casually going
no,
to
definitely
that.
not.
Yeah.
No,
People go
and
there with intent to like see that movie. Yeah.
Sure. And I feel like if you're that type of person who's going to go see that, you're either one, oh, I appreciate art, or I appreciate just like, or I'm a peaceful person, or you're a peaceful person, or you're like a chill stoned person or something, like whatever it is, like whatever. I just think that, or you're just smart, whatever it is. Like, I just feel like there's something, if you're going to go see that movie, I value something in you as a person, and like, or you just care about movies that are always diving deep into, what humanity is and the human soul and all that stuff. And so like, I mean, it's not like, say, when I go to see a Christopher Nolan movie, I go see Oppenheimer, which Oppenheimer's, probably is a masterpiece, right? But when I go to see Oppenheimer, the amount of like douchebags that are that are in there, it's like god damn. And yet what you're watching is like so beautifully crafted and smart. I don't feel that way in a Miyazaki movie, thankfully.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing this. I'm planning on going Thursday night, so
Nice.
2 nights from when we're
Nice.
recording
Yeah,
this.
I
But
will
yeah,
say, yeah, it's a journey for sure, like all the others, and it's very also like emotional too.
cool. Yeah, would you rank it pretty high on just Miyazaki movies in general?
I mean, it's definitely really great. I can see it being pretty high, but also I have no idea how to rank this man's movies. I think I would have to like rewatch all of them with I don't think I even have a set favorite for me personally yet. They're all
Yeah.
kind of, yeah. Like I just like outside of the top tier ones, I don't know how to rank the top tier ones.
I'll just finish with one last one. Should I go with something like weird, or should I go with something that's like people know about? So I can't decide.
The weird one no one's gonna know about, huh?
Yeah, well, maybe a select few. Well, I'll talk about
Yeah,
that because
yeah, go with that.
yeah, we got 2 minutes left. So I don't know if do you know the comedian Connor O'Malley?
I do not.
He's this like alt comedian. He's from Chicago
Oh, cool.
originally, but he does these really strange, weird YouTube videos, and he was like a writer on Seth Meyers' show, and
Oh, cool.
he's married to Adie Bryant from
Okay.
SNL, and he's done like Joe Pera's show. He's done some like things that people would have seen him in, but a lot of his own comedy is all like these crazy YouTube videos that he does that are so bizarre, weird, and honestly like disturbing.
Yeah.
But there's again, it's something about him. I would put him kind of in like the Nathan Fielder camp too, in that sort of weird world. But anyway, he made this short film that came out this year called The Mask, and it's about this aspiring improv comedian from Villa Park, Illinois, which
Wow,
that's
wild.
our neck of the woods.
Yeah, I once my high school girlfriend was in Villa Park,
Oh,
Illinois.
that's right. Yeah. Villa
Yeah.
Park was the first place I ever lived as a child.
Wow, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and anyway, he's just like obsessed with it's he's kind of goofing on like these like I don't know, uh just how people nowadays are just like so like wrapped up. They don't have social lives. It's all just based on the
Hmm.
internet and things they consume.
Hmm.
And that's who this guy is. And he just goes on this crazy journey of moving to LA to try and become like a famous improv comedian and get on Whose Line Is It Anyway? And it just goes in these weird directions that you would never expect. And
Hmm.
it's not on you can watch like the trailer on YouTube, but the actual short film is on his website called Endorphin Port, and it's
Hmm.
$5.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know if I would recommend if that piques anyone's interest, maybe watch some of his other videos first, and then see if it's for you. He does have this great sketch from years ago on his YouTube channel that's about like Wrigleyville bros in Chicago, which
Oh wow.
I know
Yeah.
Luke just your time living in on the north side, I'm sure
Yeah, I mean, I literally, when
you'd
I was
relate.
19 years old, I moved to Wrigley with some bros, so I can totally relate. And then I lived in Wrigley another time too, when they lived when they won the World Series. So like, I know the Wrigley bro thing for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
So yeah, you should watch that video, and it's also with it's him and Carmen Christopher, who's another comedian, who we just had here in Denver last night. But he's also great, and he is one of the staff writers on The Curse, too. So
Oh,
there's
cool.
another connection there. Um, but yeah, that's my last thing is Connor O'Malley, The Mask, which is his short film. Yeah.
I'm having trouble IMDbing this guy.
I wonder. Oh, he definitely has an IMDb. His name is it's Connor Conner.
Oh, that's why. There we go.
Yeah.
Never mind. Oh, bodies, bodies, bodies,
Oh yeah,
all that
yeah.
stuff.
Palm Springs.
Nice.
Yeah.
And yeah, you recommended How To with John Wilson, and I've watched like a couple episodes of that in since you recommended it to me maybe 2 or 3 years ago. um but I watched like I watched like episode 2 of I forget what the subject is.
They're like scaffolding or
Scaffolding, yeah, the scaffolding thing
the
in like New York and cities and stuff. I know, yeah, I liked it. So
yeah,
yeah, it's cool.
that's
He's connected with the new like I don't know. I would almost call it the new like weird Renaissance sketch people, which is like like Nathan Fielder and
yeah.
uh Tim Heidecker. To another degree. Just like these, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say yeah, Tim Heidecker probably is kind of like one of the original, well, at least for modern day like weird
Like
comedy stuff.
the
That's
big
definitely
OG.
like
Yeah, he's like the big
yeah,
OG.
yeah. And there's
I
definitely a
I
lot of influence on these guys too. Yeah.
yeah. I've watched his podcast like clips. I also to now I'm jumping between people. I can't keep saying the same pronoun expecting people to follow what I'm saying. But now Tim Heidecker, I've watched his podcast clips of office hours. And it's just funny because like the set is like the background is like Glendale,
Yeah.
California, and Jake of the Cinebums lives in Glendale, so we'll be like watching it there. It's just like it's just so goofy and funny, and yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
I dig that show a lot.
Cool. Yeah. Yeah. Since COVID, Office Hours has been like my favorite piece of media. It's just a great, like goofy fun, like hang. And I just feel like they have great taste too. They'll have some band on that I haven't heard of or musician. And um then I'll like check them out after that too. Yeah, not
Mhm.
to just promote a completely different show, um, but yeah, I know I'm excited that you've been watching a lot.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll watch it more. Yeah, since it's something that you're feeding yourself apparently all the time too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I got to I it was cool. I got to help them out with their website a little bit
Yeah.
last year and the
Yeah.
year before, and got to work with their producer, who's a good guy. So yeah,
If they're listening, John is open to doing it again.
yeah. The phone
and
lines
is
are
ready
open.
available for more work from anyone from
You know
them
how
or
to reach
anyone
me.
like this. Yeah. Right. Now you're gonna get like DM'd by like the weirdest like podcast you've ever seen or something like
Yeah.
that.
Hey, yeah. Hey, I have low standards. I'll do
Hey, we
anything.
heard
So.
you worked on office hours. Like, we'd like to get some of that. Can we meet Tim?
Yeah, yeah, right.
It's like, what are your design needs? I don't know. Like, do you have like Tim's number?
Phone number. Yeah, that would really help us with our podcast if we could just get his number. Yeah, I'll just wait. I'll wait for the DMs.
All right. Yeah, we'll keep that short, I guess, since in the new year we'll be like really doing everything all 2023.
Mm-hmm.
Um, leaves us just an opening for so much to say. Um, so I guess yeah, the Santa Claus 1, 2, 3, the Escape Clause. The third one actually has a name. And then there
Yeah.
is the Disney Plus show, which I didn't really
Oh,
watch. I think last year this episode has been in the works for a while.
yeah.
Last year it was supposed to be done, and then one of our guests got COVID, so we decided not to do it. Um, so this year we're bringing it back. And I remember though last year when I was preparing, I did check out the Disney Plus show. Like I didn't actually sit and watch. I like did things while it was on because it's definitely not good. As you turn it on, it's like picture the way the Santa. If anyone who for those who have seen Santa Claus 3, the way Santa Claus 3 kind of dives in dunks in quality to its own thing. I feel like the show does that way more, way more
Yeah.
even.
Yeah.
And so I'm not even sure if I guarantee that it's not a watchable show.
Yeah, I've only seen like clips here and there. And then I saw, I don't know if you saw this, like Casey Wilson, I guess, is in it. I don't know what part she plays, but she
Yes, yes.
said that Tim Allen was a huge bitch. Um, and that was like her
Damn.
actual like quote was that he was a bitch on set. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean Tim Allen's a weird movie star. He
Yeah.
um just he's like always been known in ways he's known as the family man when you're growing up, and in this he's Santa Claus, and he actually in my eyes actually pulls it off, the transformation. He's Buzz Lightyear, but then everything you hear about like Tim Allen the person behind the scenes is like damn. And there's that story of him, I think, like getting arrested. I think he's bringing a bunch of drugs, maybe just weed from like Michigan, and he got like arrested. And there's like these mug shots of him
But
when he
yeah.
was much younger doing that.
Yeah, he was like
Um,
a coke dealer back in the
yeah.
80s or whatever. And then he went to prison, came out, became like a comedian, and then he's all of a sudden he's America's dad after that, you know.
Right. And well, it's funny actually. Like, yeah, I feel like at the beginning of say the first Santa Claus, the Santa Claus, you can see some of that side of him when he's like at the beginning of the movie when he's acting kind of like a dick. I
Yeah.
almost like believe that a lot. I'm like, oh yeah, that's side of the performance. I'm like, oh, that's easy for him. This is clearly just how he is, or something like that.
Yeah. He probably didn't even know cameras were rolling at that. at that point. They just filmed him.
He's like, I was just on my way to work. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a documentary.
Just heading to set. Yeah, there's a I was just watching like clips to like get ready for this because I've of course yeah, this is I think you mentioned this in the beginning, but this was also just one my sister and I watched all the time growing up.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I forget about like in the beginning of before when we're kind of introduced to the sleazy non-existent dad character uh at like his company holiday party he says some like comment about someone's secretary. It's like,
Yeah.
oh,
No,
we're all
I
here.
I thought
Yeah,
about that exact thing. Yeah, he's like, except our families aren't here. I think it goes like, except our families aren't here. That's maybe why, like Dawson here is with his secretary or whatever that guy's
yeah,
name is, and they all make like a little laugh. I'm like,
like
I like what? I'm like, why is that thrown in there in this kids movie? Like,
yeah,
sure, like this is like an adult world, and it's like, um,
yeah.
I don't know.
Disney's the
But
Santa
this is just
Claus.
like a
Yeah,
toy company, you know.
yeah,
And it kind of reminds me of like a very toned down version of say, Jingle All the Way. It opens and Arnold is like on the phone and things are crazy. This is like a more toned down version of like, oh, I am a work obsessed guy. But you
hmm.
don't know why he's a work obsessed guy. Like he has no backstory to why, but he's just a work obsessed guy for no reason.
But at the same time, he's kind of supposed to be like likable, like he's the funny guy too.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, for sure. And he has like a charming dick thing going on.
yeah,
Um, and when I was a kid, like I'll say this again, like I would watch this movie a lot of the times on TV. I think I would like jump into it specifically when they're at the house and like trying to have Christmas together, and I would always just get sucked into this every time. And I didn't have it on DVD for a while, but like I would always get sucked into this. And I never was able, as a kid, of course, I didn't know like that Tim Allen's supposed to be like a dick. I was always just like, oh, there's Tim Allen, blah, blah, blah. He's a dad to this kid who's like, my age, blah, blah, blah. He's great. And I was like laughing at him. I was like, I love this guy. I didn't really read any of the like, oh, he's a bad father or he's just, I don't know, he's got problems. I don't know. And like, I still think even as an adult, you don't really see anything specifically that he's really doing. Sure, he showed up late. He was at a Christmas party. It's not that much to go off of, really. He doesn't like the stepdad. I mean, it's not really that
yeah,
much to define any of what's going on here.
yeah. He's just kind of a cynical guy. He's kind of the guy that he plays. Besides like Buzz Lightyear, he's
Mm-hmm.
kind of a lot of times this like cynical, sarcastic,
Yeah,
snarky guy who like I don't know, kind of like Bill Burr, like always lecturing like everybody else for
sure,
what they're doing
sure.
wrong. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah, and I did like he's always shitting on. I mean, this is kind of going all over the place, but I want to talk a little bit about the character Neil too. Um,
Yeah. Who kind of also has a similar sweater to what John is.
right? Yeah.
John has a bit of a Neil sweater on right now for the video viewers.
Now Neil is such like Neil's just getting dunked on this entire franchise,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
and
Oh, and
he's really
it gets like worse, I think, too. But like
yeah,
he becomes so much more of a side kid. It's funny how like as the franchise goes, how the family gets so put to the side. It's like they're like characters from a different season of the TV show we're watching. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Yeah.
yeah, definitely, yeah, and I think Neil is honestly like the best character out of all of these assholes in
Yeah.
this franchise. And he's like a therapist too, which now of course is like the like therapists are like the top profession for like people nowadays. Like that's like people um everyone's in therapy essentially.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah.
here it's presented like he's this like whack job And I
Well,
think
it's the never ending bit of like, oh, he's a psychiatrist, whatever, like
psychiatrist, yeah, yeah,
I don't care that he's a psychiatrist,
yeah,
he's like he listens to you. That's because he gets paid to do
paid to
that in
do,
his
yeah,
career, like
yeah. And it's like even I think I don't know if it's in the second or third one, but it's like anytime he talks, there's like this East Asian music that plays like
right.
underneath.
I think the tone of him changes a lot for
Yeah.
sure.
It's
And
like, oh, here's something.
he becomes more wacky as like I think the movies become a little more wacky, and then so the side characters need to fit in, and they're like, oh, I'll just go every time I'm on camera. Then since I'm more side role, I'm going 100%.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. What's his name again? He's been in a ton of stuff. That actor.
Uh,
He's got like a weird name. Um
Judge Reinhold.
Judge Reinhold. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
yeah. No, he's in a lot of things. He's in um for people who
Fast
like
Times at Ridgemont
Seinfeld.
High. Is that
Oh
it?
yeah, I think so.
I thought he
Yeah,
was like a teen actor in like the 80s or something.
yeah. For those who like Seinfeld, he's in one of the best Seinfeld episodes there is, and he's one of the funniest character parts of that episode too.
What is he in Seinfeld? I don't remember
He's in
that.
this episode. It's a two-part episode called "The Raincoats," where they like the big most famous part of it is towards the end of the show. They kind of make fun of like they do a Schindler's List bid with him, and he's like, oh, I could have done so much more, blah blah. And he does this whole monologue from Schindler's List, and it's about like how he, oh, I could have taken out Jerry's parents again for dinner, but it's like they were wondering the whole time, why is this guy taking Jerry's parents to dinner? Like, why does he want to hang out with Jerry's parents in the first place?
God, I don't remember that. I gotta.
No, yeah, if you
It's
haven't, check it out. It's like season 5 of Seinfeld. It's like called The Raincoats, and
the Raincoats. Good.
it's two parts, and it's like got to be one of the best episodes they ever did. And he's like the big guest star in it. Much better than Santa Claus. But yeah, I mean,
Shocking.
like,
Yeah.
he's definitely fun to have around. Like he's, if anything, he's like the villain in the movie.
Yeah.
Like yeah. I mean, the conflict in all this is in the first film. I think the first film, while it might be looked at as like, I don't know. I don't know what people think about this franchise actually, but it's I like to think it's looked at as the best one,
Yeah.
just because people tend to look at them that way. But I actually think the first one is the like more, I don't know, kind of all over the place, kind of more maybe just like doesn't know what it's doing or going for as much, doesn't really know what it is exactly, when I think the second one really knows what it's trying to be, and like knows it has its tone all the way through, when I feel like the Santa Claus is kind of going this certain direction, but also isn't very like it's almost like making fun of itself the whole time because of how like this situation's obviously ridiculous. So it's kind of like in a half-assed manner, just making fun of itself and how this is like a silly thing. But I can't remember any examples for now. But I feel like this movie's never really sincere until the end, when he's like, oh, like accepting he's Santa Claus, and him and Charlie are like, hugging and stuff. And before that, though, it's all like, this is all like one big joke, and like he hasn't even really accepted that he's Santa Claus. He's just like, oh, I'm getting fat. Like he's barely even thinking about it. Like it's just, it's just so strange.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, just him going to the doctor, trying to go back to his like normal daily life.
It just gives the movie the opportunity to be like, oh, now we get to have these silly jokes where he comes in and he comes into the business meeting and he's like, it's a bee sting, like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm allergic, and he orders a bunch of desserts, and then the doctor asks his diet is like milk and cookies, and then he puts the thing on his heart, and it's doing the heartbeat to Santa Claus is coming to
Oh
town, or Jingle All the Way, one of those
yeah,
two
yeah,
songs, and then he takes it away and it goes back. It almost feels like, I don't know, that, like, especially that joke. It feels like a joke out of a commercial or something like that, not like a real movie necessarily.
yeah. I mean the whole thing is very um well, it feels kind of like eerily dark at times. Whereas the
Right.
second one and the third one are both more like these are family movies, like family Christmas movies, and they're
Yeah.
lighthearted. But this one, yeah, the first one is kind of
It,
like
I feel like it tries to be like, oh, we're also an adult movie. We're an adult movie, but we're also for kids in a
yeah.
way. Like, it tries to have both perspectives. And that's where it gets a little messy.
There were times when I watched this as a kid where I was like uncomfortable um with
mm,
I maybe the more like adult stuff in it. Um
yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
definitely didn't understand. I definitely didn't understand like why the whole when the visitation rights thing that ends up happening. As a kid, I just didn't get what that meant at all.
Yeah.
Because you don't know the law, you don't know like about civil law or anything like that. But it's such an interesting conflict that it's all based off of like the night they spent Christmas together. What happened? What did they do? Because
Yeah.
Charlie can't stop talking about the North Pole. And it's just funny to see as like the parents are just watching because the course of the year, they're like, it's just so bizarre, like to really like look at their point of view. Like, sure, he's like, playing Santa in his room and stuff like that. Charlie's playing Santa in his room. Um, which as a kid I thought was like really cool. When I saw that as a kid, like this movie made me real, like it brought out my like Santa nerdum and stuff like that. I think that's why I got into it. And when I saw Charlie like doing the uh thing with he has his chairs as reindeer, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, come on, Prancer, come on. Like when I saw that as a kid, I was like, that's the coolest thing. I want to do that in my room right now. But in the movie, the mother's like looking in and she's like really concerned. And it's just like, what's so fucking weird that your son is like really obsessed with Santa? That's just like what a kid is supposed to be doing.
Yeah, he has
Um,
imagination, and yeah, it's
right. He's like, oh, I'm making up this story. He's like, look how young this kid is, like, you know? And then on top of that, but then like when like Tim Allen starts to, transform himself and they start to see it and he looks like Santa, and you kind of see that their mind is forming this whole idea of like, oh, he realizes our son's obsessed with Santa and he's using that as a way to like manipulate and get closer
yeah.
to him. That I understand now, and I think is like a really interesting, but also like could be taken to such a dark level if this was a different movie.
Yeah, I think maybe that was I mean, my parents weren't divorced as a kid, but I think that just dynamic of like the divorce and the complications between like the parents and stepdad and like child, like I think as a kid watching it, I would kind of feel like uncomfortable by
I'll be like, oh,
some of those family dynamics.
this is the real
The
world.
real shit. Yeah. Yeah.
This is what comes on after I go to bed usually.
And two, like I didn't, think about like obviously until I'm older, like, okay, so like Santa gets killed and then they go to the North Pole
Yeah.
and like Bernard especially and all the elves are like, all right, now you're the new Santa. Like
Yeah, it's such
get
a
to fucking
weird
work. Like
it's such a weird
Santa's dead,
concept.
we move
Yeah.
on.
I feel
We
like
just
that's
keep
the
moving on.
biggest
Yeah.
plot hole. We just keep moving on. Yeah.
You can't look at the past. Like, okay, that guy, he was our
Yeah.
Santa for like 400 years. We got to move
Yeah, yeah,
on now.
yeah.
Okay.
We
Yeah.
developed all sort of a connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
In the
and
second and
that's
third
like
one, they're so like they love
they
Tim Allen
love
so
Tim
much.
Allen so much,
Yeah.
right?
Maybe
Yeah.
they didn't like the other guy that much. I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, if they had a medium cool relationship with him.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, that I think that's the biggest plot hole in the whole franchise is that inciting that inciting oh, he fell off the roof accidentally. You put on the suit. I mean, the whole point of the whole this whole movie is a like a pun or whatever or a double
Mhm.
entendre or whatever the term is of like it's the Santa. You're not Santa Claus. It's the Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Like he accidentally signed a contract and now he has to be Santa. It's just yeah, and the fact I think one of the most weirdest scenes is when they show up and everyone's watching them come down and everyone's just kind of nodding like you see Bernard kind of like ha ha hey, like
Yeah.
you know we
Fresh
got
meat.
another yeah we got
Yeah.
another one in here and like
Yeah.
the welcome is like so casual that everyone just goes yeah like, as you said more like business as usual everything goes on there's no real like meeting or anything he has to like ask questions. I mean, I'll be honest, I've had jobs like this where you kind of just start and like you're just thrown into the weeds and then you
Go.
have
Yeah.
to ask everybody, so I can relate. But I'd feel like something like being Santa, you would at least have like a couple maybe a couple days training, whatnot. But like how laid back this is, it's like they sleep there one night and he's like, all right, you have 6 months to get your fare. And they really try to treat it like this like adult thing.
Yeah.
Like like it is a real like this is in reality. Like you have 6 months or whatever to get your affairs in order, then you're due back here Thanksgiving. He says like I'll ship the list to your house. And it's just yeah, it's just, like and he's just stuck in this.
That's like the thing is first of all, I think I would just be like, well, fuck that. Like I don't want to do this just because Santa
Right,
fell
right.
off my roof. And it's like who's running the show here? Like
Yeah,
what
who's
it like
really in charge? Yeah.
what if okay, so what if I just don't come? What if I just don't show up? What if I don't be Santa? Like what happens then?
Right.
Is
Yeah. Yeah.
like all these people apparently don't believe in Santa already and just buy their
Right.
kids gifts or
They are out
yeah,
of business then. Yeah.
yeah, it's like what I don't understand. So and then like even in like the second one, like when they're like, you got to get married. And it's like, okay, so he and it's like the desanctification process.
Right. Right. Right.
So then what happens? So if he doesn't get married, he doesn't become Santa, and then what? Like, okay, so there's no Santa, and so do these like
Right.
what do the elves? Is it just this is their job? Like
Yeah.
they have
Yeah.
nothing else but this, so they need to like convince someone to be Santa. Like, yeah, what is the
Yeah. I mean, it's never really talked about like the bigger picture of the North Pole. It's always just only about Tim Allen. So
yeah,
we're never supposed to really think about that shit. Like,
yeah,
because even when he says he in the first one, he's like, "What if I choose not to believe in this?" And and he's just and they basically just guilt him into like they basically kind of just guilt him into saying like, "Oh, all the kids are gonna be so sad,"
yeah, right,
like
yeah,
the lost hope, like Christmas doesn't exist without us, so like then there won't be Christmas. It's like the classical like Christmas movie thing, like where if Santa's not around, there's no Christmas, blah blah blah.
yeah. People don't care about Christmas anymore.
Because people, yeah, there is just no Christmas spirit anymore.
Yeah, yeah, like Elf and all that. It's like, well, why doesn't he just take over as Santa then? Why
Right.
doesn't he?
He's the head elf and he knows everything, but like he doesn't seem to have much reach, that guy, outside of that, like
Yeah.
I heard this in like from either like it was either Jake or another podcast I'm like listening to, but once I heard this, I never looked at Bernard the same way. Like someone just mentioned, Bernard just looks like a guy who like sells weed at a Christmas tree lot or something like that.
Yeah.
And I could not get that like idea. I've never looked at Bernard the same way.
Yeah, it is funny like how he is like he's like the most adult of all the
Right.
elves too, and
Yeah,
like so
yeah,
why is Bernard like this like 23-year-old pot dealer and everyone else is like a 8-year-old who's like 1,000 years old in this world.
Yeah.
There's even a weird moment when like Tim Allen is first like sitting in like I don't know his like Santa bedroom, and
Yeah.
that little girl is there with his like hot cocoa,
Right.
and
Yeah.
it's weirdly
That's in
like
poor taste. The
there's weird sexual
flirtatious thing.
tension. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
No,
she
they
even says like I'm seeing someone in
in
uh
rapping, she says.
rapping.
Yeah.
And it's just like like this is weird. I
It
don't.
is. It is.
Yeah.
Like they kind of tried to go for I saw what they were going for, but the way they went about it, like just no.
Yeah.
You're Tim Allen's acting with a kid, like definitely not.
Like they're playing the joke that of course she's like 1,200 years old, but she looks like she's 10.
Yeah.
But it's still creepy. If it was
But
like
I
an
feel like Tim
adult.
Allen does kind of like he does kind of brush it off though in that scene to like protect himself, where he goes like, "Oh, she thought I was like flirting with her. No, I mean like you look like a kid." You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like he kind of does, because even Tim Allen's like commenting on like all the elves look like fucking children in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, it's really funny the difference between the elves in the first one as opposed to like the second and third. Like there's that Curtis kid, and
Yeah, who I actually think Curtis is like gold in the
I don't
second
I
movie,
like
because
Curtis. Yeah.
yeah, like because you said you even remember the line, the desantification line,
The
like the way
desantification process. Yeah.
yeah, he's like, the desantification process has begun. The way he says that, like, it's so great. Yeah,
I
he has
like that. I remember liking that actor back in the day too.
yeah, I don't know where else he was, but I just
Yeah.
remember him having he has multiple moments in the Santa Claus 2 that I'm like, oh, this kid is great,
Yeah, and he had some levity where Bernard is like a grump and everything.
Right,
But
right.
the
What's
Curtis
interesting though is to see the difference in David Krumholtz's performance from the first to second one, because I feel like in the second one he has a lot more like, I don't know, it's weird. Like in the second one he'll be like he'll be like, okay, elves, let's get them, like stuff like that, and he'll be like running around with this like
yeah.
limp and stuff, and he has all this like I don't know, like different energy where he's like really trying, and he's like explaining to him, he's like, all right, Santa, it's best that you come back, and like stuff like that. And the first one he's kind of walking around like, I'm Bernard, nice to meet you, Santa.
Maybe he was really like burned out from the previous Santa. Maybe that Santa really like sucked and was like, and
Yes,
he was just sick of it. He's like, why am I even doing this anymore? Like I worked so hard to become head elf, and I'm just working for this asshole who just became, maybe that guy had just become Santa like recently too, and they're like, we
Yeah,
gotta
being head
like,
elf was not what he thought it was.
yeah. And then maybe Tim Allen was like the perfect a better boss for Bernard to thrive.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting how in the second one he's so beloved, and like he's fit in so gracefully, and he's like the perfect Santa.
Yeah, they all love him. It's I mean, this is partially too just because of the passing of time in real life, but the second and third ones are just so like vibrant and like
Yeah.
colorful and
Right.
everything.
Right.
Even the North Pole in the first one is pretty drab, and
Yeah. 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 I mean, you see more of it, I think, in
yeah,
but like the first one, the North Pole almost feels like I don't know, you're in this like the way they go down into the thing, it's like in this weird, it's like you're in this weird like petting zoo or something like that. I don't know.
yeah. It's just kind of like yeah, and it
And the
literally is like a
and the
workshop
kids are
almost.
all just walking around and like it's there, and some of them are like, I swear 3 years old that they cast to be in as the
Yeah,
elf, and it's playing that song and it's like oh, no, 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 no.
yeah.
And it's almost like
Oh my god,
it's like you're
yeah.
in church on Christmas or some shit. Like I want to know what they're like actually singing in that song as like
Yeah.
the random father and his son.
And that is such a weird scene too when they
It
first
is.
when they first like get there, they land and
Yeah.
that kid is just standing
The
there.
kid walks out of the North Pole. Well, at first off, it's like this is like the intro to how the song starts because you hear the woman's voice singing. It's like Christmas time is done, and
Yeah.
he's kind of like summoning the North Pole to like
Yeah.
come up.
And then like yeah, that kid's just standing there then. And
And
what
he's
does he
like,
do? Like yeah, he's
I
just
don't know.
like
Yeah, he's like that. Yeah. Every kid in here acts like really, I don't know. Like, I don't know. Their direction is to be like all as the elves, they're all just like very like we know what's going on. I don't know.
they'll like look at Santa and like make a face or something.
They like
But
smile, they like smirk at Santa. Like I liked the elves as kids because like, oh, these are like, people my age. They're like my classmates, like
yeah.
that one girl, like Judy, and this could in at St. James with me or
But yeah, now as an adult though, I feel uncomfortable by all these
yeah,
children.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah. Also in the first movie, I'm sure do you notice like me that when they're flying in the in the sleigh that's the Chicago skyline for
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's like subtly, well, they don't really like make a point to say that it's in Chicago, but
no, no, but it definitely is like it's like this green screen moment where they've like basically they completed the night as like, oh, he gave presents, I guess, to the entire world. Um,
yeah.
but they probably started in Chicago. Now they're ending in Chicago. So let's just say he did in Chicago, but then he like it's the sun is like rising and they're like the background is like that Lakeshore Drive, like Gold Coast area with like the John Hancock building and that that area, and then he goes like he's like ho ho ho, Merry Christmas to all and all a good night.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, man.
and
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be based in Lakeside, Illinois.
well, oh nice, yeah, yeah. I you can tell it's Illinois. And then like later, when they he's like essentially to their eyes kidnapped Charlie to take him uh delivering presents. um he's like they're just up there, he's like, hey, there's Mom and Neil Street, as they're like
Yeah.
away above, and you can tell it's also that's Chicago too, I feel
Yeah,
like, because
you're
you can
right.
see the
Yeah.
lake. um
So there's a lot of these classic Christmas movies set in Chicago.
right, right, and also there's a moment where where he's first like learning the sleigh or whatever, and I think he's passing, I don't know if it's a cop or if it's like just someone driving in a truck, whatever, and they're on the street, and then Tim Allen and Charlie are like, they come up in the view of the guy, and Tim Allen's like, he makes the joke, "Hey, so if we just head straight and get on I-94," and that also just gives away the
Yeah.
Chicago location.
There are some things in Santa Claus 2, I guess, that we haven't touched on.
Yeah,
Specifically Charlie becoming like this bad boy. Um,
yeah. And then he
Also,
like,
like he's like repelling like Mission Impossible style into his high school.
yeah. He's got all these skills. Well, and
Oh
also
yeah.
now mentioning Charlie's got skills. Charlie in the first one starts working on he's like, you know, Bernard's like, "Santa, this is Cedric. He's head of like the technology operations here." And Cedric's like, "Hello, Santa." And he's like, "Charlie's here helping me here with the sleigh. I think we got a few surprises for you." And you see Charlie like with a hammer on it. He's like working on the sleigh, and like they're making all these like technological advancements as they're doing it. Like what they're doing, like he presents it all later, and it's all like very impressive. And I'm like, all right, where did Charlie learn all this shit? And like then he like talks to his mom. She's like, how are you, Charlie? He's like, "I'm terrific. I'm helping the elves build a new sleigh."
Are the elves developing all this technology on their own? And like
Yeah.
what about this work? And even they have that SWAT team at the
Oh, it's
end
like the
too. They
oh,
have
it's like
jetpacks.
yeah, he's like time to deploy ELFS. It's
Yeah.
literally but they like do have a meaning for each one. I forget what it means
Yeah.
exactly. Um
Um yeah, and then they land on the roof, and they're like where Charlie is, and they're like, "Don't worry, we're the good guys."
yeah.
These like terrorist elves just like jetpack in. It's and they cause a lot of havoc that I think would make the news too. But
Okay, and here's what it stands for. It stands for the Effective Liberating Flight Squad.
effective liberating flight squad.
But also that's so bad. But also when I was a kid and the ELFS was like deployed, I thought it was the coolest thing ever.
Oh yeah,
As like
some
because they all
badass
like
elves.
yeah, like they like run out, and they got these jetpack things, and there's like these like trippy bells like playing as they're like
Yeah, they're meant to be so cool, and then they're just like these kids with just like the
yeah.
yeah, just
Yeah,
like
there's
like
like
these goofy
things
looking
in this that
costumes.
will only appeal to kids and things that will only appeal to dogs. Like there in the first one specifically, there's really no I don't think there's like a middle ground at all. I think it's
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Cause now I watch the ELFS and I'm like, this is fucking weird.
Just there's something off-putting about that kid who's like, "We're the good guys," like that too. It's like we're
and
the
then
same age.
and
Like
the yeah. And the dialogue scene, the like way it goes too is really weird. He's like, "The cops have surrounded this place." And he's like, they
yeah,
probably, and he's like, he says like this like poetic like type shit where he's like, yes, they probably are. Um, we weren't thinking about getting out of here, just walking through the front door,
yeah.
And he's like, we think we can get out of here a lot faster if we fly. And it's like, why'd you have to take so long to get to there? You guys just flew in. You can easily
Yeah, so they just
fly
do it.
out,
Yeah,
Yeah.
do it then. Yeah. Quit talking about it and do it. Yeah.
That's sort of analyzing this kids movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then they go and there's like the like the fat cop is there, and he's
Yeah.
like, just looks like you know, I don't know, a sleazy overweight cop eating a donut, and they like spin him around in like Christmas wrapping.
Yeah,
Um,
it's just
and
fitting for like their Christmas themed everything. They
yeah,
stuff his face full of like pastries or donuts or
yeah,
something. Yeah.
right. And then they break him out, and it's really just over like that. Like there's like the big moment where Santa's arrested. He's really like out like right away. I was
Yeah.
not when I was a kid, I thought it was like the biggest deal. I was like, Santa got
What the?
arrested.
Oh, there's
He's
even
been
that
arrested
kid.
for so long, you know.
There's that little girl or whatever that's like, let go of Santa or
He's like,
something like
let
she's
Santa go.
yeah, it's so like cringeworthy now. Just like,
Yeah,
let
yeah.
Santa go. Whereas really, like if I don't know, if this were to happen in real life, like they bring in this guy looking like that, I'd be like, oh, what the this creep? Like, yeah, get him out of here. Oh god.
He was in their house.
Oh, what the fuck? Yeah. And this little girl's like, let Santa go.
There's that one scene where he's like name, and he's like Santa Claus.
Yeah. Chris Kringle.
Chris
It's
Kringle.
like
Père Noel, Popo, Chicho.
that's something my sister and I would always say that to each other is that that Popo Gijo thing.
There are moments where like Tim Allen has like, you know, is given the ability throughout all this to use his timing for sure.
Yeah. Mhm.
The one thing, like, we should move on from the first one as it keeps reeling us back in. I think there's a couple more things I want to cover before we move on. And it's specifically with the parents of my I don't know her name. I think it's Carol. No, it's not Carol. That's someone else. I think that's his wife
That,
in the second one. But
oh
like,
yeah, that's the new wife. That's the
all I know is
principal.
it's mom and Neil. You know, mom and
Laura. Yeah.
Neil. Laura.
It's
Yeah, yeah,
Laura.
yeah.
Yeah.
The Laura specifically has moments where she's like giving a great performance, which is like, I think one time it actually hit me. It's specifically towards like, there's two moments. The first is the monologue that her and Neil have about the like their presents that they didn't get, and that's like when they stopped believing. Like
Yeah.
you
The
can see
whistle,
this.
Oscar
Yeah,
Mayer
yeah, yeah.
whistle.
It
Yeah.
was an Oscar Mayer weenie whistle. Christmas morning came. No weenie whistle. And that's when I stopped believing. But yeah, like outside of the fact that, like, I don't know, the philosophy or whatever behind why these guys stopped believing is just, oh, they didn't get the present they wanted, like,
Yeah.
when they wanted it. You know, it's not like that's the logic of this world. It's not that, oh, the parents are doing it. It's not that. It's that,
Yeah.
oh no, these are kids who are deciding on their own to stop believing in Santa, and it's based off of like that he didn't come through with the present that they wanted.
Yeah. And it's also like well, yeah, so like all these adults don't believe in Santa, but then their
Yeah.
kids are getting presents under the tree.
Now they're just showing up.
How do
Like
you
they don't have an
explain that? Yeah, so
right, right.
they don't believe in him because they didn't get some gift growing up, but then they still don't believe as an adult when presents just show up under the tree.
Right, right. Well,
Yeah,
and there's
there's
that scene where Neil's like he's like literally trying to like debate. He's like trying to ESPN first take Charlie about Santa, and he's like, "What about the reindeer? A lot of people don't have them. Have
what
you
about the
ever
reindeer, Skip? What about the reindeer? It's
yeah.
Q&A.
Have you ever seen a reindeer fly?" Like, and that all his arguments are that, and all Charlie has to do is like be like, well, then how am I getting presents? You know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
did you get the presents last year? Then who did? And they would stump him right there.
yeah, right, yeah. Um,
Um,
yeah, I guess that's where Neil is usually like open minded, but then now when it comes to Santa, all because of that whistle.
He's not open-minded enough. But yeah, like during this that scene before that I'm talking about, like Laura has like this moment where she's like, I got dozens of presents. I got everything I wanted except mystery date. And I'm like, dang, she's really acting her ass off for like this scene here. And like then later she has another moment where she's like, you really are Santa Claus. And I'm like, this girl, she's really going so all out for this Santa Claus movie right now.
Going
But
for our
like,
Oscar moment. Yeah.
yeah, she's good. Yeah. And we can move on then from the first Santa Claus.
Let's end it there. Yeah.
But yeah. So the Santa Claus 2, it was actually quite a pleasant surprise to find out I actually like this movie a lot more than the first one, which I never thought would be the case. But I think the Santa Claus 2 is actually a good movie. Um,
When it
it
came
kind of
out,
has,
I definitely watched it. I would rewatch this one more than the first one after this came out, for
yeah. Well,
sure.
I
Yeah.
think also the second one really just falls you fall even more into that childhood fantasy of like okay, now like more Santa stuff, and it's even more for the kids. I feel like it's more for the kids, but I
Yeah.
also feel like Santa Claus 2, when it's like it's just better, it's just more balanced when it's like I think the humor is better. I There's a lot more bids. I remember I think Tim Allen is better in this movie. um
His
I don't know
character
about,
is certainly a lot more likable in
yeah.
this. He's like a good
Yeah,
guy.
for sure. And as you said, the North Pole is better. Now, I'm not sure how we feel about the transition from child Charlie to teenage Charlie, because um, Charlie is the same actor as the first one,
Yeah.
which is interesting.
Eric Lloyd. Yeah.
Is it Jake Lloyd's brother?
I don't know. Yeah. It's the only other Lloyd I know. He was in Batman and Robin as well.
Wow. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I don't know. What do you think? Do you find Charlie annoying in the first Santa Claus, or you find him like tolerable?
I think he's fine in the first Santa Claus.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the second one he's like over the top whiny teenager, like
Yeah.
he's like this bad boy character, but he's kind of a lame bad boy. Like what he's spray painting like a X over a Christmas tree or something. Like and he's just
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't know.
I
I
mean,
don't know that I like this actor
yeah.
that much.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest. He's just kind of like I don't know, like one dimensional. I don't know.
hmm Yeah, I don't really get his like whole thing in the second one, because the second one he's like clearly going through some teenage depression shit. He's unhappy. You'd think it'd be like, oh, he misses his dad, maybe. His dad's got his whole life now, as we see, and he's not a part of it. But it's not even that. It's like the monologue is later in the movie, I think. He's kind of going like, he says, "My dad, I have to hear at school. My dad's a firefighter. My mom's a pilot." And he says, "But my dad's the best of them all, and I can't tell anyone."
Yeah.
And it's
Uh-huh.
like, all right, that's not that big of a fucking deal, though, Charlie. Like,
Yeah. When you get older, yeah, you won't care as much about telling
can you
everybody what
imagine
your dad
telling
is.
your dad all your whether it would even work to tell all your classmates like your dad's Santa? Like, what? Like,
Yeah.
it would
I
never work.
I think
You just want to brag about your dad, basically.
yeah, I guess. I think in the whole dynamic in the second one, that I still just I find weird is why he has to go for the principal, like this principal that is clearly like butting heads with Charlie,
Right,
and
right,
he's having all these issues with, and this is the woman that he's supposed to like fall in love with.
right,
um
right.
yeah, it's weird, but at the same time I think Charlie's character kind of sucks, and it's kind of like
Yeah,
a way to like add conflict between him and his dad. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think so. Because otherwise there wouldn't be anything.
Yeah.
But actually, I like Principal.
Principal Newman.
Yeah, yeah. It
Hello,
doesn't say. It
Principal
just says
Newman.
Carol. It doesn't say hello, Charlie. Hello, Principal Newman.
The way she talks is so like elegant, like hello,
Yeah,
Charlie. Yeah, it's
yeah, yeah. No, I think this I like this actress in this movie a lot. I think Elizabeth Mitchell. She's in a lot of like I think TV shows that I would never watch. Like that's like
yeah,
things I think more so for women. But I like her in this movie. That's one of the big things I feel like this movie has working for it. Um, and I like the chemistry that her and Tim Allen have throughout, and I like how even though it's like kind of it's like a rom com. Like what's fun about Santa Claus 2 is like he goes back and he gets to go do a rom com thing. Pretty much, it's like a
yeah,
story is like he's got to find a wife because of the Mrs. Claus, the rom com thing, and then B story is the whole like which arguably could not have been in this, but I'll ask what you think. B story is toy Santa Tim Allen running the North Pole.
yeah,
Now I don't know what you think about it, but like when I think about it, it really like it does make me laugh a lot. I'm not sure if
yeah.
it's good or not, but like I do find it very funny.
I think that's a good way to put it. I know I found a lot of joy like as a kid watching this with the toy Santa.
Yeah,
I there's even a moment, I don't know why I think it's so funny, but when they um kiss under the mistletoe,
yeah.
and all out of nowhere out of nowhere the toy Santa just goes hi, and then it cuts to like the
Yeah,
North
yeah,
Pole, but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it
It's
almost
this
seems like someone
weird.
is there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. There's there's a scene where um the toy Santa says like this is the way the toy Santa talks. He's like, he's coming right back.
Yeah. Actually, I think Tim Allen actually does a pretty good job as the
Yeah,
toy Santa. I think
I think so too. Like
yeah.
it's like the most exaggerated like Tim Allen thing he's doing, but like it's actually pretty gold a lot of the times. I love Coco.
Yeah.
Ha!
Ha ha. Yeah. Actually, the more we're talking about, I guess, like these different plot points, I do like the stuff between Tim Allen and the principal as a couple.
Yeah.
Um and like the moment too where it's like a nice sweet moment when he's like surprising everybody, all the
Yeah. No,
adults with their
I think
toys and
that scene
stuff.
is like a
It's kind of a
genuinely good
sweet
scene.
moment.
It's a genuinely good scene because like I feel like you'll be at any school party, that's probably what it looks like.
Yeah.
For the faculty and and yeah,
And
just like the way that scene's drawn out. The guy's like, this is pocket jam or whatever he calls it, and he's
toss
just handing him out.
across.
Toss across.
Yeah.
And
That's
Tim Allen plays it so well, like just the way he's just this random guy giving out presents.
yeah, that's when he like yeah, the first one he's very cynical and snarky, and um yeah, and then in this one he's like a very likable, like genuine guy. Um
And he goes on a date with Molly Shannon, which
oh,
is
I just say
which
that
is
yeah, glad you brought that
a
up.
hilarious scene.
Molly Shannon kills it in that scene too. She's
Yeah,
so
she kills
funny.
it.
Yeah.
She's like, uh, no
Oh,
way.
what? Totally
Yeah,
like she's.
yeah, yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
what?
like
But at the beginning, he's like, no way. Way.
yeah, that's it. She's like so. Oh my god, she's so funny. Yeah, just like
Yeah,
that.
the
That just like
scene's a gem. It's funny how it just like
way.
it starts off so normal, but it like kind of so naturally manifests into like the more it goes on, like this woman's just kind of crazy, and like probably been on too many dates or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. And she's just Molly Shannon's just so like naturally funny. It's just
Yeah, well, I think she says like, "I love creative people" or something.
yeah. Yeah, she's like so enamored by him and like he's a toy maker and or
Yeah, and she's also, I think, wearing like a giant Santa shirt
yeah.
on top of that.
Yeah. Then she finishes like she's I forget why she sings that like Shania Twain song, but then she's just like, man, I feel like some Christmas. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
just so yeah, it's just so over the top. But
Yeah,
good.
that's
Yeah,
like
yeah, it's
very
good.
officey humor where it's like it's the humor of like, oh, this is such an uncomfortable moment, like
Yeah.
in public. It's about like the hyper awareness of being in public that's why this is funny. Um,
Hmm.
yeah. There's another funny scene where involving Neil, um, where it's another kind of example of like an actor kind of changing their performance as this franchise continues to change, um, because it's like clearly wasn't even supposed to be. It's not like this was like planned. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like Star Wars where George Lucas knew like I wanted to tell the story about the father and the son, and then I wanted to tell in the fifth movie, in the second film, he betrayed the
That's a good
father.
impression.
The
That's a good
father
impression.
betrays him, and yeah, and then I wanted to tell how the father. Yeah, I watched a lot of those interviews about it. But anyways, like it's not like they had any of this planned. So like the Santa Claus 2 is not even necessarily meant to exist. So like when Judge Reinhold is acting in this movie, there's like the scene where like oh they want to, and we haven't talked about this, but there's that whole um like there's like a conference of like mythical like
Yeah, it's like
mystical creatures, the Easter
a meeting
bunny,
of the five families, like the yeah,
yeah, it's like the Tooth Fairy, the Easter Bunny,
Father Time,
yeah,
Mother Nature, maybe is that
Mother
what?
Nature, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. They incorporate this much more in the next film, which we'll get to. Um, but like they're trying to summon the Tooth Fairy so they can get back to the North Pole because he's lost all his magic, and they need to take his tooth out. So like Neil like thinks it's like Neil's big moment in the movie. He's like thinks of this idea, and he's like, we used to do this as a kid to get some extra cash, and they literally throw Tim Allen like I forget, like it's like a bucket stuck to Tim Allen's
I want to say
tooth,
it's like a toaster or something.
or yeah, like a
Yeah.
toaster so that his tooth falls out, and like Neil is like somewhere else, like not where he's at in the first movie. He's like 1, 2, 3, and he's like you can tell he's just getting so much excitement out of just doing it. Yeah, and the psychiatrist from the first movie, who's very intellectual and calm, is suddenly
Zen.
acting like reckless and
Yeah.
all slapstick comedy. But yeah, but yeah, I like the way I like the second movie, the way it I like the you know the the like way it wraps up. I like the kind of fight in the North Pole between him and the toy Santa. It kind of reminds me a little of like a Toy Story thing.
Yeah,
Um
he even says a line from Toy Story.
you are a sad strange little mountain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the elves are all fighting the like walking like wooden toy
Yeah,
soldier
yeah.
things. Uh but yeah, I kind of I like watching the two Tim Allens fight each other at the end, and then finally Carol finally, as if like as if everyone's waiting for it.
Finally, she comes to her
Carol,
senses.
yeah, Carol and Charlie come to the North Pole, and they get married there, and it's like he's like, this place. I know I'm asking you to give up your whole life, but this place is so magical, and it's Christmas every day.
Well, then that brings up another question that I have too. Is like, does Santa live forever then until he like is killed by someone or something? Like, what if he just does he die of natural causes, but then who takes over as Santa? Or do him
Yeah,
and
it's
Mrs.
like
Claus live forever until he's
yeah,
murdered?
yeah, it's like
Or
the
does
only
Charlie take over
it's
then?
only replacement by murder, basically.
Yeah. But it's almost
Otherwise,
like
you're stuck in the job. They should make one
it's almost
next
fucked up
where
then.
he's like,
Charlie should kill him to become
yeah,
Santa.
they
Yeah.
should, yeah, they should make one with that premise exactly, where he's like the opening act, the inciting incident is like, "Kill me, Charlie," and
Yeah, yeah.
it's him reckoning whether
Do it. Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, do it." He's like, "Doctor, I am suffering, Charlie. I cannot live any longer. Like,
You have to take over. Yeah.
I have to be, I have to be, yeah, I have to be Santa through having cancer because the claws won't let me out of
Yeah, I
this."
can't get out of this. I can't retire because of the claws. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I like the way the second one ends and how he's like, it's also natural now they're married, and he's like, "All right, Mrs. Claus, you're gonna have to wait for me to get back from like delivering all the presents." And then uh the last scenes like them like he kind of like reveals to the girl who's like one of the twins in Cheaper by the Dozen with Steve Martin that like
Yeah.
he's like, I she even asks earlier, this like girl, he's like, "Uncle Scott, are you Santa?" And he's like, "No, of course not." And then later he says it, and she's like, "Wow." And then
I found her character. I didn't even. Yeah, we haven't even mentioned her. I find her to be super annoying. Uh, wait, who? She's like. Is she like
so I think
Charlie's half sister
she's
then?
yeah,
Or
half so
whatever?
she's the kid, she's Neil's kid. So
Neil's okay,
Neil, yeah.
then yeah, and then she's super into uh her mom's ex husband. It's
Yeah, yeah. She's like, "Oh, it's Uncle Scott."
Uncle
Yeah,
Scott.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, no, this is like your who she was with before. Yeah, no, it's a very like
It's a weird
healthy,
family
like
dynamic.
yeah, it's
Yeah,
a weirdly healthy broken
it is healthy.
family. Yeah,
It is healthy. Yeah.
but it's not how it is. I don't think. So we're on to the Santa Claus 3.
Escape clause.
Yeah, I think an important thing to note that I just discovered looking at all these films on IMDb is that I don't think any of these movies share a single writer. Um, the writers of every single movie are different. Anyways, I just thought that that's a wild thing. I mean, there are the director from the second and the third one is shared.
Yeah.
Um, but nevertheless, I had nothing but good things to say really about the second one, as you know. Um, The third one, I don't really have many good things to say. The third one, I did not see till last year, actually. That was my
Oh
first
wow.
time watching it. Yeah. As a kid, I never went to go see it. Um, I think I had heard it was bad, but I think just it was one of those things where I just fell out of it. It's kind of surprising because I loved the Santa Clauses as a kid, so that the fact that I didn't see the third one was yeah. I think I just heard it was bad, and then I saw the weird images of Martin Short in this, and I was
Yeah.
like, that movie looks weird. I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I actually I remember seeing this in theaters because it came out around Thanksgiving, and my dad's cousin actually, I don't think he still does, but he used to own a movie theater in this small town in Iowa. And my cousins and I, like the Black Friday, like after Thanksgiving, we went to his theater, and it was just like the whole town. It's like it's one of these places where there's only one screen, so it's just like the one movie is
Yeah.
playing, and the whole entire town is basically here to see the Santa Claus 3, and it was a packed theater in this town of like 1,000, 2,000 people.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
You couldn't get
and
in
yeah,
tonight, so we gotta go tomorrow.
yeah. Don't worry, they're playing the same thing. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so yeah, I remember seeing it back then, and yeah, I was still in that mode of like I like the Santa Claus,
Mhm.
franchise, and so I remember being like looking forward to seeing it. But yeah, and I don't think I really thought too much of it. I thought at the time it was like, oh, it's like a Santa Claus movie. Like, sure, it was fun,
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, then seeing it later, it's like, wow, this is uh so clearly the worst one out of all of these.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I mean, it's a
really,
real drop. It's almost like doing what the second one's doing, but like it really drop. It's like in the same like genre at least. I feel like the first and the second aren't even in the same genre, but
yeah,
the third one really just drops down to like, okay, this is like a 2-star comedy that Netflix made or something like that. It feels almost like Adam Sandler Netflix movie at time, in a way of like that
yeah.
level. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's maybe gets to a point where they all have to do with these different clauses that just like, of course, years go by and Santa doesn't know about these things, and then they like bring them up,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah. It
it's
gets
like,
it's a tiresome formula.
yeah, they're just kind of reaching for something like, okay, what other kind of like clause can we throw in there? And it's also it's like, yeah, someone else is taking over as Santa, which kind of happens in the second one too with the toy Santas.
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah.
yeah,
But like I couldn't, it's hard for me to talk because I don't remember really Jack Frost's motivation
I think it's
too
just that
much.
he doesn't have like his own day, like his own
Yeah,
holiday,
I think so.
and so he's jealous that Santa and the Easter Bunny, like they have all these big things, and like, what does he do? Yeah.
Yeah,
um
yeah.
yeah, so that, yeah, there's much more of like the council in this, and
Yeah, they were like, "Oh, okay, what can we do here? We'll use the council. We want to see more with that council." It's like
yeah.
like, you know.
It's like in the Phantom Menace when there's like all the trade negotiations and stuff. It's like that's what these
Yeah.
kids who are into Star Wars want to see is,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And
politics.
yeah, so I think Tooth Fairy's in this one more. But then I think the B story outside of him taking over is the parents of Carol,
Yeah,
Mrs. Claus are coming to visit the North Pole. And here's the bid. I remember it. I just remembered. It's that not that he's Santa Claus. It's that this is Canada.
yeah.
This is a visit to Canada, which is ridiculous. I forget who the parents are. The
Alan
parents played by
Arkin and
Anne Margaret.
yeah, Alan Arkin and Anne Margaret. Yeah,
Wow, that's I remember them being someone huge.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I do get some enjoyment out of that, I guess. It's very silly, but like kind of like how the main story in the second one is like, oh, big picture North Pole drama. The other is like, now this is like, um oh no, the in-laws are coming in type movie.
Yeah, they even have like the she's like pregnant, right? And then
Mhm.
they have like the scene where they are going into like the emergency room, and like the doctor is like a child, and it's
Yeah.
it's like yeah, just some ridiculous scenes too with I don't know, just trying to mask that this is Canada. There are I guess funny fun moments
Right.
of
But
them pretending, but
it's like
it's
one of those like things where you'll see this in a lot of in some bad comedies where they will take one bid that is kind of okay that should be used maybe once or twice, and they will like, let's roll with this for the entire runtime,
yeah.
like
Yeah, it's interesting too. I mean, each movie, well, first of all, I mean, so the Santa Claus first one comes out in 1994, and then
yeah.
the next one doesn't come out till 8 years later, and then this one is just a few years after that. So it's like they really upped the production design for the second one, and then they, just for the hell of it, I feel like they went even further with this one too, where the
Mm.
North Pole is even more. There's like he has like a fireplace, but it's it's like his head. Do you remember that? Like
No,
his
no, I don't.
It's like his in their living room in the North Pole. The fireplace is Santa's Tim Allen's head,
Like Tim Allen's head.
like with his mouth open, and the fire is in his mouth. It's like a lot of the production design. I think they just went so over the top with this.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, and I don't know. There's nothing wrong with that, but it just looks kind of silly. Like it's just
yeah, yeah.
they go kind of ridiculous with it.
Right, and they just don't know as much what to do. Um, and I think there's a scene also where, because I don't think there's much outside of the North Pole in this one at all. So
Yeah.
they bring back everyone. It's like kind of they bring the band back together. So Neil and Laura come back up, and Charlie and whoever the whatever their daughter's name is, they're all in the North Pole. And I think they're all supposed to keep the secret too. Um, and I think Martin Sheen's manipulating the daughter a lot, to
Martin
like
Short. Yeah.
Martin Short.
If Martin Sheen is in this, that'd be
Yeah,
hilarious.
somehow we could fit him in this. But yeah, Martin Short is I think has like these silly scenes where he's like, Santa wants you to go into that room there that you shouldn't go into or
Yeah.
whatever, and like get me the naughty or nice list or something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah. What do you think of Martin Sheen in this?
Martin Short.
God.
I think Martin Sheen would be great in this if you yeah. I think Martin Short is like a good casting choice for this actually.
Yeah,
Um
I think like he's funny. He's going all out. Like,
yeah. I think the character is just kind of like, obviously his motivation is that he wants to take over as Santa, and it's kind of like a generic, like he doesn't
yeah,
have anything and he's jealous of the guy who has it all. And
yeah,
um but this I think this is where they're getting, even with the production design too, they're getting too into this world and all these like made up rules and everything, that
yeah, yeah.
they have to, okay, we're going to make up this snow globe room, and then there's all these snow globes floating that represent this, and then we have to get
Hmm.
him, he's going to try to convince Santa to say this, which then gets him out of being Santa and back to, because they like go back to the original night when Santa dies.
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
and there's just all, it's just like it's kind of going too far into this multiverse of like Santa Claus
Hmm.
stuff, that I think, even
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think the character just is I don't know. It's just a weird. I think it's an odd character to throw into this world, uh, which I mean can't even compare it to like the first movie at this point. Like these
No.
are completely different worlds that these people are in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. I don't know anyone else who could do this sort of Jack Frost character as good as Martin Short. And I do think that there
Right. And
is,
he's having fun,
yeah, right.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. What do you like Martin Short in this or
Yeah, I mean, I think I
you
was just like I had a lot of like I was mixed, like I was like weirded out, but I was also like had a lot of moments where I like couldn't believe that this is like a thing he actually did.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's really about it. Again, I've only seen the film one time. And I don't know if I will if I will revisit it. It
Yeah.
reminds me of like yeah, just something low quality that would have been done in the 2010s, like a Christmas movie, like Daddy's Home 2. Have you ever seen
Yeah.
that? Yeah, like that type of thing.
I do kind of like Daddy's Home too.
I do too. It's
Yeah.
better. It's better than Santa Claus 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't even I couldn't even tell you how the film ends. Or anything. Oh,
I don't
and they don't even
remember.
have
Yeah.
Bernard. They don't even have Bernard in the Santa Claus 3. That's like
Yeah, no, he's not in it.
the head elf.
Is he in the show? Do
I
you know?
don't think so. No, and I don't know if Curtis is. I don't. There's no way Curtis is in the show. That guy would
I
be
haven't
like.
seen that guy. I forget his name, but I haven't seen him since like this era.
But like, yeah, Curtis. I think in the Santa Claus 3 is like now he is the head elf.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
In
that makes
the
sense.
show, from what I saw, there's not much organization on like the structure of the elves. There's just kids around
Yeah.
as usual.
Oh, that's Spencer Breslin. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, his
In a
sister
lot
is
of
an actor too.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, he hasn't done too much lately. Yeah. I just I just went down a rabbit hole of looking
Well,
at
a long scan in there.
yeah. I just kind of got lost in the zone, in the Wikipedia zone. I was like, oh, wow, he's old enough to be married and divorced. Wow, okay, wow. Huh. Just
Oh, he's
kidding.
married and divorced. Dang.
Yeah, got married in 2020 or divorced in 2021. Wow. That's your breaking news. That's your TMZ update on Spencer Breslin.
Yeah, we're the TMZ for more people like Spencer Breslin, while other people follow the
Yeah.
Kardashians.
We're just years behind on people who you haven't thought about in yeah,
Yeah,
decades.
we'll give years behind updates on very outdated stars. Not even stars, just random people.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Santa Claus 3. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have much
Um,
more to say. I wasn't going to watch it again for even for this.
no, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, same.
but I mean, I think it was like Santa Claus 2. After Santa Claus 2, they had solidified this is our world that we created, and now we're gonna like try to milk it to create more like properties from it. So that's why they did Santa Claus 3, and the most recent show on Disney Plus is that much as ever. It's like Disney,
Yeah.
I mean, much to a lesser degree, it's Disney doing what it did with Star Wars. Now, of course, like people are not as protective over the Santa Clauses.
Now I'm just
No.
thinking of all of the I'm thinking of all of the standalone like backstories of all these side characters I want to see. Like if
Yeah.
they made a Bernard, like the Obi-Wan
What?
Kenobi show, but for
Yeah.
Bernard, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
Curtis.
the Mandalorian Santa Claus version or whatever.
Yeah, how did we? Yeah, I want to see how Bernard became head elf. Where's his origin
Yeah,
story?
yeah. I want to see where Judy,
Yeah,
how Judy got so got how she got to look so good for her age, you
yeah,
know,
for being 10,000 years old or whatever. Yeah,
or yeah,
gonna yeah, some spin-off, some animated show with the reindeer. Um, because
yeah.
the
Comet.
reindeer become characters then too. We haven't like
People are like, I want to watch Comet. It's
yeah,
out.
Comet. Yeah, that's so like bizarre that it's just like the one reindeer talks
Yeah, it's the
like
one that talks, and it's like,
he's like
and it's in the
like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
super weird.
yeah. And he doesn't he have a moment in the second one where he like he's like ate a lot of candy or something like that, and he
Yeah, I
farts
think he
and
gets
he
like really fat, and of course he farts constantly, and then like that's like the humor they're going for, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, no, he farts and they're like, oh,
oh,
like, one of
Comet.
those big
Oh.
one of those big moments where they're like, hit the deck.
Yeah. Just that early
Nothing
2000s humor.
nothing like some good bad smell humor.
Oh
But
yeah,
yeah, he's like,
farts.
Comet, you shouldn't eat so much sugar. It's bad for you. And he's like, "Wah, wah, wee, da, da."
Yeah.
Well, and there's another reindeer, I think in the second one called like Jack or something like that.
Oh
And
yes,
he's
he's
like
like a
the
kid
loose
one. Yeah.
he's like the loose cannon reindeer. And so then he takes like Jack up to like go after the toy Tim Allen.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah, he has to like ride him or something like
Yeah, yeah, he rides
solo.
him. Yeah. I'm trying to think of more like bids with the toy Tim Allen.
I've even forgotten like there's the scene where they like create him. They have this big
Oh
lab.
yeah, 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 yeah. And it's like, ah.
Yeah.
He's like, it won't hurt a bit, and he goes in there. It's like, ah.
Yeah.
It's like really intense. And he's like
Yeah.
showing him he's showing the rule book, and he's like, all right. I'll follow all the rules. Like he's like going through the book, and he's got like the
The big
hour the
magnifying glass. Yeah.
magnifying. I'll read study the book. I'll follow all the rules. And he almost forms like this. It's like they're trying to. I don't know. It's like they're saying the North Pole got taken over by some fascist dictator or something like that. I don't know. Like there's,
Yeah.
you could say there's some political commentary. The way, like very mild political commentary. The way he's like he dresses like a captain or like a
Yeah.
general or something like that. And
He changes his outfit to be like
yeah,
he's like yeah, like a Venezuelan dictator or something.
yeah, exactly. And then he's got all these soldiers.
Yeah. He turns into yeah, what Hugo Chavez, is that the guy? I don't know.
I don't know.
Um
Yeah. So I was thinking, yeah, maybe you're probably more accurate, like Venezuelan. I was thinking, like, yeah, like
Stalin or
Europe,
something.
some European,
He
Eastern European dictator, like,
he looks kind of like Stalin too, or
yeah,
yeah, or
yeah, yeah,
Hitler even, yeah. But,
right.
yeah, that's kind of funny actually that that's like a character like the toy. He picks a new outfit. The toy Santa, he picks this like dictator
Right.
outfit, having no knowledge of like the outside world of like yeah, that's funny. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the toy Santa is good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And then the second one's just a fun Christmas movie. So what?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I know it's not talked about a lot, but it's you know, it's like an undersold elf in a way. Yeah, that's the Santa Clauses. We did it. Um,
A year in the making. We did it.
yeah, I feel the way that I should after talking about Santa Claus for this long, and I hope that people listening feel this way as well about listening to the Santa
Yeah.
yeah, because like I don't know if you're like this is like not everyone's gonna find this interesting because not everyone gives a fuck about these movies, but there are a lot of people who grew up with it, and hopefully they have a lot of the corals we do, or some of I don't know, what is your favorite Santa Claus? Maybe the third is randomly someone's favorite, and maybe some people really disagree with us, and they think the first one reigns supreme way above the second one. Maybe they think there's people who think the second one is trash. Like, who knows?
Yeah. And maybe there could totally be some really weird underlying plot line or just character moment that we completely forgot about too, that that you think of all the time when you watch it, or you can't believe that we didn't bring up. And let us know.
But yeah, I think that's for us a break for the year. So it's another year of the Cinebums. Like I know we were very we were not very existent toward these past couple of this past month, but like there were some good times this year, and we're hoping to like keep going in the new year, and the new year, especially with all the talking about all this past year's releases, will be especially a great time. So looking forward to that a lot. Yeah. I hope everyone has a great Christmas. John, I hope you have a great Christmas. What are your plans for Christmas?
I'm going back to the Midwest. Yeah, going to be driving to Wisconsin. Yeah, it's kind of nice. But
I could be jealous of you as I am flying
back to Chicago.
So we'll see what I have to deal with. I've never done it this directly on the holidays before.
Are you flying like a couple days before Christmas or like after Christmas?
A couple days before Christmas, and then New Year's Eve I fly back to LA.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how the travel chaos will be. I have traveled I have like flown on Christmas Day before, and it actually was pretty nice. Like, but yeah, I don't. A couple days before, and then on New Year's Eve, I don't know.
Yeah. We'll see. We can probably call it there.
Yeah. Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody.
With unknown travel plans.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think's a good.
That's a good way to end, right?
Yeah. That's a good ending. Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
See. Just a usual conversation.
Holidays.
We'll see.